Hey guys, Fox here, and with all the news about the XFL and USFL potential merger, we still have a lot of stuff from the USFL season this past year to actually talk about. So we're going to be looking at the USFL top 50. Just like we did last year, we're going to do this in three parts. This is part one. This will be the first 25 players on the list, so 50 through 26. So let's get started. Coming in at number 50 was Quentin Poling of the Birmingham Stallions. Number 49 was Shamirius Gilmore of the Philadelphia Stars. Jay Adams ended up coming in at 48 for the Breakers. Henri St. Amour came in 47 for the Breakers. Adam Rodriguez fell a bit from what he was last year to end up coming in 46 this year for the Stars. Levante Taylor of the Panthers comes at 45. One of two kickers on the list, Luis Aguilar, coming in at 44. Calvin Ashley of the Generals comes in at 43. Levi Bell of the Panthers at 42. And Vontae Diggs is one of the biggest shockers, is all the way down here at 41. So the next 10, we have Troy Warner. Very great player for the Showboats. Definitely deserves to be where he at 40. Brandon Aubrey, the second of the two kickers, coming in at 39. DJ Daniel of the Generals at 38. Paul Adams of the Breakers at 37. Reggie Corbin at 36 for the Panthers. Joshua Dunlop at 35 for the Panthers. Josh Simmons at 34 for the Maulers. Colin Tolson at 33 for the Gamblers. Another shocker. Case Cookus fell a lot from last year due to his poor offensive line play and him just not being the same as last year. He's all the way down to 32. Kyrie Woods at 31 for the Showboats. And then the final five for this part. Coming at number 30, Avery Genesee. Solid lineman for the Gamblers. Trey Tarpley of the Maulers comes in at 29. Darius Victor comes in at 28 for the Generals. A big shock as well. Jake Lucina comes in at 27 for the Generals. And then Dondre Tillman comes in at 26 for the Stallions. So, for me, there were three real huge shockers on here. The first one is in the kicking game. I've said it before in a couple past videos. When you look at the All-USFL kicker, Luis Aguilar really only got it because he had that 8-for-8 game against the Generals. If he doesn't have that game, he doesn't end up making it. Simply put, the stats just don't help him out. He was the only one of the top three kickers to miss an extra point, and he also had the least attempts, so he shouldn't have, missed one in theory. And his 86 field goal percentage was by far the worst of the three guys between him, Conklin, and Aubrey. And if you eliminate his 8-for-8 game, you realize his stats are really lacking, as if you eliminate the 8-for-8 game, you're putting him at, 17 of 21, which is 4 missed kicks in 21 kicks. Whereas if you get rid of, Conklin's best game of his, 5-for-5 earlier in the season, he still only missed one kick out of, 14 attempts. Then as for Aubrey, he didn't really have any of those insane games where he, kicked a bunch of kicks in a row. So his 14 of 15, is just across the season. But 35 of 35 extra points and 25 of 25 for Conklin are both insane. To put it simply, if you're going to have, two kickers on this list and they're not, at the very bottom, Conklin should have made it on here because he was also arguably better than Aguilar. 25 of 25 extra points is far better than 19 of 20. Then 18 of 19 field goals is better than 25 out of 29, especially considering the fact that Conklin also kicked a lot of long ones as well. So that was a pretty big shock, Conklin not making it. I would have personally put him probably right around where Aguilar is, one spot in front or behind. But Aubrey, I do agree, was the best kicker. 35 of 35 extra points is crazy. Then Vontae Diggs. I'm really shocked he fell this low. Look, no offense to Colin Tolson, but no, Tolson was not better than Diggs this year. When you look at their stats, even though Tolson does beat Diggs in tackles, there's one key difference. They both had the same amount of solo tackles, which, that's the big tackle stat. So Diggs had the same amount and was still almost with him in total tackles. Then TFLs, Diggs beats him by 3. Sacks, Diggs beats him by 1.5. Sack yards, Diggs beats him by 4 times the amount. Interceptions, Tolson didn't have one. Diggs not only had 3, he returned one of those for a pick 6. The only edge Tolson has is the one forced fumble, but considering the fact that pass defense, Diggs has 6 passes defended versus Tolson's 1. I mean, come on. And look, both these teams ran the ball a lot and, played time and all that. But when you consider how many turnovers the Gamblers had early in the season and overall across the year, Tolson, in theory, had more chances to, do things. And especially when you consider the fact that as for Diggs, the Breakers were the number 1 defense in points allowed this year. It wasn't, as dominant as they were last year, but they still were. I just don't see how Tolson got more votes than Diggs from either the players, from the coaches, or the media. This was an L move. And then Darius Victor at 28. I mean, really? You're telling me that there's 27 guys better than him? No, there was not. Look, he was third in rushing yards this year. He was tied sixth in yards per rush, and that's with the quarterbacks that average a ton of yards, and tied fourth in rushing TDs. Yes, he didn't have the insane amount of touchdowns he had last year. Granted, Mark Thompson himself obliterated that mark. And yes, Victor did fumble a lot, but Wes Hills also fumbled the ball 4 times, so fumbling isn't the big deal. And unlike Hills, who was really great for about like the first 2/3 of the season, Victor was great the whole year. And consider this. Victor had 80 less carries than Wes Hills, yet is almost within 100 yards. If you cut down Victor's average by like 0.5 yards to 5 and then gave him an extra 80 attempts, he would still smoke Wes Hills. The fact is that Victor, I genuinely feel like, was the second best running back this year. I said it when the USFL team came out. I think Victor had an argument to be above Wes Hills, and I still believe that Victor deserved to be on the All-USFL team above Hills. Because, I mean, we saw last year that just because you have the rushing title doesn't mean they're going to respect you a lot. Ellis was the leading rusher, and he didn't make it. But, I mean, there's no way Victor should have been this low. I just can't fathom why he was this low on this list when all his stats really show that he was far better than Wes. Victor had to still split carries with other guys at times. They didn't run the ball the same they did last year. Just 27 guys better than Victor. I just don't believe that at all. I think that was a terrible, decision in voting from all the voters. And especially considering the fact that Wes Hills did beat him by a decent margin. I don't know. Doesn't sit right with me. But that'll do it. This has been Zom Fox. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. We still have, other USL videos to cover from the 2023 season. And of course, the USFL XFL merger is still, at least while this was being recorded, is still in the works and all that. So we'll be on the lookout for that. As always, have a great night.